All right, the next caller here is Tyler. Hello, Tyler. You can unmute yourself. You are on next, sir.
This is the 2-5 game at Riverwind in Norman, Oklahoma.
2-5 River Win. I don't even know if that's how you spell win. I'm spelling it Wynn. That's probably not. Uh,
Wind, like wind,
yeah.
WIND.
Okay. Oh, River Wind. Okay. Now
Yeah,
I've played at Choctaw and Windstar, but never at this place.
yeah, I played out there too. I have a
Okay.
buddy that deals at Choctaw.
Okay. So 2-5 at River Wind. Okay.
It's a 1K cap.
Okay.
The under the gun, who's the villain, flats for 5.
Okay.
Middle position raises to 20.
Okay.
The cutoff calls. I'm on the button with Ace Jack of Diamonds,
Mm-hmm.
and I raise to 120.
Okay. So limp MP to 20 over the top of a limp. Cutoff calls. You squeeze to 120.
hmm
Like it. I like it. Yep. And what's the effective stacks here, by the way?
I am with the villain. I am the effective stack, and I have about 1620.
Okay. 1620. Okay.
So then the under the gun calls after flatting.
Wow,
So
he limp called.
yeah,
Wow, okay. Power limp
and
call.
and then middle position also calls the 120 and cutoff folds.
So MP, who's the initial raiser, calls and cutoff folds.
Yep,
So we've got a guy who limp calls 3 bets, the initial opener calls, and it looks like the pot's probably like 370 or something, right?
yep,
Okay, off to the flop. Nice and fast and concise. I like your play.
yep. So the flop is the ace of hearts, nine of diamonds, and the five of spades.
Ace of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 5 of spades. Some people chattering in the live chat. You do have ace jack suited, right? Ace jack of diamonds.
Yep,
Yeah,
ace jack of
I mean, I
diamonds.
love this squeeze. What would you do with ace jack off? Just curious here in the spot.
Um, I might still three bet it, but a little less, like maybe just like a 70 to $80 three bet.
70 to $80. So you would have squeezed a little bit less. Well, that's interesting. You would have varied your squeeze based upon um the fact that you were offsuit.
Yeah, probably a mistake. I'm not the
Hmm.
best, I just play just not very often, maybe like 2 times a week and just for fun. So I just subscribed this month, so
Okay.
I'm learning.
Well, you should check out the episode that is why suited hands are better and why we structure with suited hands. What I would say here is that I think you could still three bet ace jack off, but you always want to favor the suited hands. And I don't know about varying it to make it smaller. You could throw in some overcalls there too. Anyone that's saying that it would be fold is better than overcall, I think is smoking something. With ace jack off in a 2-5 live game, I think that's just too good to play. But okay, so we're off 370, ace of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 5 of spades, and okay.
Yep. And then the under the gun and middle position both check.
hmm
And so I down bet to 100.
Okay, so hero bets 100. Kind of, I mean, it's a little bit on the small side. I mean, I know it's a multi-way pot, and you're up, against 3 people. You do have backdoor diamonds, so you bet 100. And obviously, some people could have a better kicker than you. Only have ace jack. I mean, I might make it 125. It's very very subtle here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't think I should be going like way larger than that, right? I should be keeping it pretty reasonable there.
Yeah, I don't think you should be going large. No, I definitely don't think you should be going large.
All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the under the gun player calls
Mm-hmm.
and middle position folds.
All right. So the under the gun player. I don't know if you know anything about him. He calls. He had limp called pre-flop. That's very important, right,
Right.
for hand reading purposes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know him too much. I knew him from just out there that night, a couple of hours on the table with him, and he didn't do anything like way out of line. Uh, but he also wasn't just playing like mistake free. He was doing a lot of limping and then just folding to a C bet. So
I mean, I just one of these guys like they sometimes might show up with like ace queen here. I think ace king probably gets limp re-raised, and then of course he's got like his slow plays, right? It's a dry board, but I mean, now he called next to act too.
right.
So, but and it's not really a dry heavy board. I just tend to think that this is a lot of ace X. I think you've got the lead here quite a bit, and I actually might go for at least 2 streets, depending on the run out, maybe even maybe even three streets. And where I say maybe even three streets is like, say, for example, the turn was a 5 pairing bottom pair and like the river was a deuce where it was entirely inconsequential. I think you get the best hand. Now, there might be some runouts where you can't do that.
And this is where it gets kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The turn comes the 9 of spades,
Okay.
and without thinking about it too much, under the gun just shoves for 1400 effective.
So here's the thing. I mean, and again, this is a little bit based upon live experience, and it's the subtleness sometimes too of doing hand reading. You know, I broke down I'm sure we'll include this in a best of it. It's over on Hustler Clips. Haralbus was not showing his hands a lot over the weekend on HCL, and there was a hand where we had to sort of play along with him. He actually ended up having ace queen and raised the river. And I got it right as I was doing the real time commentary. It's hand reading is a skill that is learned. It's kind of like conditional probability and logic and things like that. But the number one thing that I would take away from this, as I can't stress enough, is the quality of player that limp calls a 3-bet with people in between and the action here on the turn. There is no way in hell that I'm ever going to fold here. Ace jack. And again, it's those two things, because if he happened to piece off with 9x next to act, I just don't really buy that it's all that common that he's going to upfront jam here. That's very infrequent. And then the quality of player based upon pre-flop, I can't make big folds to that quality of player when it's off the rails already. Now, it might be easy for me to say because it's like, some people might be stepping up and they don't see this type of bet, 1400 into 500. But yeah, I mean, that is absolutely my take here. And again, I mean, the only thing that could be said here, I mean, I would much rather have ace king, obviously, Tyler. It would just really, really suck. And you might even see this more often than you see a 9. It would really, really suck if somehow like the guy was doing, like he didn't know what to do with ace queen and you lose. So if you have ace queen or higher, it's a much easier call. That's the only that I'm more concerned about that than I am 9x here. Now, backdoor spades have come in here too. So, what kind of hand could this guy have? I'll tell you, ace X of spades, which is because it's ace of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 5 of spades, turns to 9 of spades, right? I see people do that, go nuts with that. Or some sort of interior straight draw like 6, 7 of spades or 7, 8 of spades. He can't have 9x of spades, obviously. Those would really, ace X of spades kind of jumps out at me here, like I don't know, ace 8 of spades, ace 10 of spades, something like that. But when a guy takes 3 cold as a limp call, there's no way in hell I'm folding. Sorry, no way in hell.
Man, I'm surprised that you said that because I thought that I made a really bad call here. And it felt like it because I am kind of, playing up. I usually just play 1, 2, and 1, 3 out there. So I come up to the 2-5 game and kind of get put in this spot. And like looking back on it, I felt like it was a really bad call because I think that he shows up with what he had actually in this hand way too often. But and just the odds that I'm getting on
Well,
the
you're not
turn.
getting great odds, that's for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, the pot's
yeah,
2,000, it's 50. You know what I mean? This is about as
right,
bad odds as you're going to get. Now, some
exactly.
people in the live chat are saying, again, I don't really see that much of a difference here between ace king and ace jack unless he's got some of those weird ace queenish types of hands here. People saying that I can find a better spot. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to make the most EV
Yeah,
play.
that's kind of what I was thinking.
This just seems like it's a lot of ace X of spades. What's the reveal here?
He ends up having ace king of spades. So, and that was
Yeah,
one of the hands that like when
interesting.
I was sitting there trying to make the decision, I'm like,
Okay.
that's the only thing that seems reasonable is he
So
has the
so we
nut
get
flush redraw.
so we get that. So we're sort of half right here, right? And then we don't know if you would have played like ace little spades like this here too. And again, this can be a little bit tricky. That's an interesting little spot here. Reveal ace king of spades. I mean, the other thing too is that a lot of times, you kind of go back to what you know, and you would think that hand wouldn't want people to call in between because of the limp under the gun, right? And that he would limp re-raise with that. I mean, that does definitely make sense, and that's why ace king would be slightly better than having ace jack here. But it's just, I don't want to be results oriented. I mean, obviously it was the wrong call here, but I still make this call though. And people say, "Oh, you don't play 2-5, Bart." The games haven't changed. I mean, I have played tens of thousands of hours against players at this level, And I will sprinkle in absolutely, at least a couple times a month for sure. I don't really see that much of a change. This one just got unlucky because he just happened to have ace king of spades here.
Right. And the other, the river ended up being the three of spades, so I end up losing to any ace x of spades.
Yeah.
But you know, and so I felt like that might also play into a reason why I can maybe find a fold there.
Well, there's one thing that I will say about that though is that let's say he has any x of spade, any ace x of spades here, right? Okay. How does the board actually help you against any ace x of spades? Look at the board. It's ace 9 5 9. How does the board help you? If he has ace deuce through ace 8 of spades, how does the board help you here?
Because it's double paired,
Well, because there's a pair of nines out there, right?
pair
So
of
he,
nines.
he cannot, right? He can't make a better two pair than you, right?
Yeah.
He can't make two pair. So there's less equity there. So he has
Okay. Right.
ace.
Right.
If he has ace 8, it's not like if it was a random card like a deuce and he did this and he had ace 8, he's got three other kicker outs too. He doesn't have that here too. So we can't necessarily know what he would do with some of those other ones, but I just when someone takes a limp call here for three bets, it's hard for me. It's really really hard for me to fold because I know that in general they're going to be probably a bad player. But thanks for the call. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.